man, look at this thing. Oh my gosh. And oh my stars, we got 3 of the diamond essence. That's very cool. Hello everybody and welcome back to some more Project Skycapsule. As you can see right here, I have finished setting up all of my nether resource generations. And these 3 up front are the ones that require the extended things. And then these ones over here just have the wither skeleton skulls on top, just because I thought it looked better to have all of them have that. So yeah, it all works out the same. Anyhow, this did take me a while, and this one requires quite a bit of micromanaging, because even though the bone meal setup is working, it's going to eventually overshadow all of this to where there would never be any room for this in the first place. I do not know how to fix this. But I mean, hey, it provides me with a bit of EMC, so I mean, that's good. Speaking of which, you might have noticed this big thing back here with all these tier 2 resource generators. Well, I thought to myself, I want to start getting some more EMC, because that's starting to become a pressing matter. So one thing I realized is that we can actually still put stuff into these EMC links, and then they will still absorb the stuff, putting it into the EMC network. So all of these things right here, each making 1 capsule, will then go into this sequence fabricator, creating a diamond and then going into this one's EMC link, thus giving me 8,000 EMC every few seconds. Honestly, it might be every second, I don't know. It's very frequent, and as you can see right there, I have 327 million. I have been generating all of this EMC and getting all this stuff to generate for a very specific reason, because today, at the start of the video at the very least, I want to get us to tier 3. Oh yeah, normally I reserve this for the end of the videos, but no, this time we're doing it in the beginning, baby. So, in order for us to be able to start our tier 3 resource generations, we're going to need the tier 3 mini catalyst. Obviously, this takes another agglomerate, because why wouldn't it? But these ones are not actually EMCable. Luckily, the tier 3 mini catalyst actually is, but the agglomerate isn't. I'm going to set this so that way I get all of them at once. We need 16 of these compressed blaze blocks, 16 compressed nickel blocks, 16 compressed gold blocks, 16 compressed silver, and then 8 compressed diamond. All of those things being EMCable, which I now have enough for, with the exception of the compressed blaze block, which I now have enough of, which means we can go ahead and then make this thing immediately. Alrighty, and by all of their powers combined, we should now have enough for all of these. There we go. So then after that, we just need to grab the tier 2 catalyst, and then we now can get ourselves the compressed agglomerate. And now comes the not as cool as it should be part, but we can just throw this thing on here, and then big turns into little again. We got ourselves the mini catalyst of the tier 3, the final tier in our resource generations. Now we are also going to need the tier 3 for the resource generators, which is not actually EMCable. So for this we're going to need a blaze mesh, a block of silver, a block of gold, 2 blocks of diamonds, 1 block of nickel, 1 glowstone, and 1 blaze quartz. Alrighty, slap all that together, and here we go! The tier 3 resource generator and the mini catalyst all together in one fine package. So now with these tier 3 resource capsules, we're going to be able to make these resources: the uranite, platinum, aluminum, or aluminium for the Brits, uranium, not to be confused with uranite for some reason, osmium, and emeralds. We're going to be starting off with the emeralds for a very specific reason. So if we can pump that into there, it will then begin generating the capsules. Now, one thing to keep in mind, unfortunately, all of these tier 3 resources are not EMCable, so I can't use the same thing I did with the diamonds, where I would just start out with that and then continue to make EMC for the rest of these things. However, there is a small neat trick that I can do with the emeralds, which I will show you all very soon once we get enough for them. So now that we have this 8th one right here, we can go ahead and then use this to craft ourselves with the same recipe as a diamond, an emerald. For the same recipe and the same amount of time, we get ourselves an emerald, but unlike the diamonds, this isn't EMCable. But if we take this philosopher's stone with this emerald, we now get 2 diamonds, which are EMCable. Now we're starting to get into the fun part. So, if I set up an auto crafter with these things, doing a similar setup to what I had in the nether with all the diamonds, but this time with emeralds and a philosopher's stone, I can then start generating using the same amount of time and resources, just at the next level, I can double my current EMC values. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a fun project for in between episodes, but either way, now we got ourselves the tier 2 resources. No, tier 3. I messed that up. Let's go ahead and slap these things in here. Ugh, that's gonna be so good. So let me go ahead and then make the other resources really quickly, just so that way I can then complete this mission.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Alrighty, and then here we go. Last one is the uranite, and with the loud sound effect, which you all may or may not be able to hear, we now have completed the tier 3 chapter, which means we can then go ahead and then get that chapter reward whenever we're ready for it, which is going to be even more of the tier 3 mini catalysts. It's gonna be so beautiful. I'll probably put all of that into trying to get this EMC generation thing going. I'm not certain if I will or won't do it. We'll see what happens. So that's that mission out of the way. Now then, for what I really wanted to do this video, well, not really, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to do some mystical agriculture. But as I was looking into it, I found out that one of the most important compounds in it, called prosperity shards, is blocked behind a mod called Psi. So before I'm going to actually even be able to do this, I need to first progress a bit through this Psi mod. First and foremost, we can go ahead and then collect that reward, which will give us this weird little tablet thing. This is very much a guidebook. I figured it was going to be. So if I ever need any additional help other than the current knowledge, which I may or may not possess, we are gonna be fine. So then, the first thing we're going to need to make is going to be something called a CAD assembly. All of these things are EMCable, and to which I have, but is the assembly EMCable? Oh my gosh, it is. That is fascinating. Alrighty, let's go ahead and make ourselves this CAD assembler, and then after that, we can go ahead and make ourselves this thing right here called the Iron CAD. Now, do not let the look of this thing fool you, my friends. This is not a little gun. This is a magic wand. Let's go ahead and then set this up on the stone layer. So we'll put this over here. Now, after this, in order to actually be able to utilize the CAD assembly, we're going to need to be able to make an actual CAD. All we need to do is just put that into there, and then we could go ahead and make this. Now, unfortunately, all these other slots I won't be able to put into this one. But now with all those sound effects done, we now have ourselves the Casting Assistant Device, or CAD for short. And look at this thing. Oh my gosh. It's so sick. Hey, you listen to me right now, okay? Right now. If you don't subscribe right now, I'm going to fill you with so much lust that your pelvis will explode. What? Just subscribe so I shut up. Holy crap. Either way, though, now that we have ourselves the CAD, we can now go ahead and actually make ourselves the Psi Dust. Now, in order to make Psi Dust, we are going to need to get ourselves some redstone. I am going to grab myself a stack of redstone, because this doesn't need to be a one-at-a-time thing. And then I will go ahead and throw that there, and now, I either left-click this or right-click, and I'm going to try right-clicking it first, but I will shoot this thing with the power of magic, and it converts it into some Psi Dust, baby. It's actually really sick. Like, can I shoot anything? No, I can't. Yeah, this isn't a weapon of mass destruction. This is just a weapon of creating beautiful fairy dust. I'm actually gonna want to make a bunch more of this, just for the sake of if I need it. 3 stacks should be more than enough, including my initial stack. There we go. So the Psi Dust is what I needed to be able to do the mystical agriculture, so I can go ahead and do that now. But at the end of this line, there actually is something else called soulium dust, which is also something that I'm going to need. So I'm just going to do that right now, whilst we're still doing the Psi. So after this, we're going to need to make ourselves a few things with this Psi Dust. We're going to need to make ourselves the basic CAD battery, and the basic CAD socket, and the core. All of this requires some of the Psi Dust, as well as a bunch of iron, and I think 1 gold along with all that. So let's just grab this puny little gold over here. And now it's time to go crafting crazy! And then with all of these things together, we now have ourselves the basic stuff. So then, since I got this other CAD assembly from rewards, which now adds up, I can go ahead and then apply all these things into here, creating a new CAD. And this one is going to be very special because we can actually put these ones in here, but these things are all still blocked. But with this one that now has those things, we now have ourselves 4 slots. And that is going to be what we're going to need. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and then mark this one off because it's literally just a teachy thing. And then after that, we're going to need to make ourselves this spell programmer. And this thing is going to be what is going to allow us to get the soulium. So let's go ahead and put this right next to this. Yeah, that looks fine. Whoa. I now see why this initial thing over here said that psi can seem very daunting if you don't know what you're doing, because, I mean, that just looks a little bit excessive. So the next thing that we are going to need is going to be a spell bullet in order to even be able to utilize any of this. So then let's go ahead and then craft that right there. And then this thing is going to be how we get the spell in order to use soulium. Now, what's nice about the spell programmer quest is that it actually tells you how to be able to get the first spell that we're actually going to need, and pretty much the only spell that we're actually going to need for this pack. So what you do is you just right-click this thing right here, and then I search for infusion, and then, yeah, not greater infusion, just normal infusion. And there we go. I don't want to change the name of it, but this should be good. And now it says that the thing is successful. And yeah, I can look into there. It's all fine. So now, if this works, I should hear a thing. I just need to right-click this. Let's listen. There we go. We heard a beep. So now this thing has infusion within it. Very good. And I don't know why I'm going over there. I need to go over here because now we need to take this one right here, which has the slots, and then we can go ahead and then put the bullet of infusion within this. And now we can go ahead and use this one to infuse things. Now, one thing to note is you cannot have two CADs in your inventory at the same time, so I won't be able to utilize these. If I ever get an anvil, I'll probably try to change the names of each of these to know which one's for soulium dust and which one's for psi dust. But other than that, we should be fine. So now the final thing is, in order to get this soulium dust, we're going to need gunpowder, and to get the soulium cobble, we're gonna need cobble. And you don't actually need a creeper to get them either. Well, I mean, you can, but the way that I was able to do it was I just used my crusher over there and crushed some flint. After putting in my EMC table, I now have myself infinite gunpowder. And with infinite gunpowder, I can throw all that to the ground, shoot it, and we have infinite soulium. And we cannot forget about the beautiful little cobble. Oh yes, we can actually see like a bullet now. Ow! I forgot that when I completed that, it would make a sound effect, but we actually saw a little bullet. Dude, that's so sick! Why didn't we see that with the previous thing? Maybe it was because it didn't have a bullet in it, I don't know. But hey, there we go, we got this thing. Let's go ahead and throw this thing in here for now, because we are now done with psi, which means it is now time for mystical agricultures. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves a stack of these diamonds, and then I'm going to put all of this into making the prosperity shards. I don't know how many of these I'm going to need, so I'm just going to use as much as I can. Oh gosh. Oh gosh! That is a lot more prosperity shards than I was going to need. Yeah, I didn't realize this, but by these 4 things, it gave me 8 on their own. That's fun. Okay, I overkilled that. Either way though, now that we have that there though, we now are going to need to make these things right here, which is called the infusion altar and the infusion pedestal. Now, both of these are going to require red carpet, which isn't terribly hard to get. I just need wool. And yeah, I already do have red wool because I was looking into this a while ago and I found out that you can actually change the color of white wool by using your Philosopher's Stone ability. So I just need to keep right-clicking this a bunch until eventually we can actually get the red wool that we want. And yeah, there we go. We got ourselves the red wool. It takes a few tries. I think that it is a systematic thing, though. I just don't know how many it takes. But either way, though, now with these 2 right here, we should be able to make ourselves the carpets. And there we go. So now I should have everything in order to start making this stuff. So now we have the altar and now also the pedestal. They are also EMCable, which is good because I do actually need more of these pedestals. I think I need like 8 of them. I don't know for certain, so I'm just going to grab those. It may be more, it may be less. So then after that, we're just going to want to go ahead and then put this right here. Yeah, that looks like it'll be good. And then we need to put our pedestals all into these places. And this is going to be how we're going to be able to make the seeds. First and foremost, we're going to want to make inferium seeds, because otherwise we really won't be able to get anywhere with it. So let's go ahead and then look into this. Oh, wait, we actually don't even need to use that for the inferium seeds. Oh, well, I mean, I know I'm going to need it for the resource seeds, but the reason we're going to want inferium seeds is because inferium and all the things after that is going to be what's going to allow us to make the things. You can't make your seeds if you don't have essence and all that, so let's go ahead ahead and then set this right here, and there we go. We got ourselves the seeds. Now, is it CMCable? It's not, but it is mass duplicatable. I discovered something, and you're all about to see it. It's gonna be beautiful. So let's see, do I still have a hoe in here? I do, so let's go ahead, farm out this area right here, and then put that there. And, you know, if we just stand here, it's gonna take a while to grow. And, you know, we can't really twerk with it, but what we can do is we can run around it, and then it'll do just that. Actually, I need to get rid of my shield. The shield is just broken. It doesn't help me at all. I'm just gonna take that into there. But now, if we shift right-click this thing, we then get ourselves our inferium, and then we can keep on just doing this infinitely. Infinitely! Yes! Now, I don't want to take away all these grass blocks because I don't know how I'm supposed to be able to get grass. Well, I mean, I can do it with dirt and nature essence. Actually, wait, if I made this ring of arcana... Oh, wait, no, that's inactive. Okay, never mind. What I'm probably going to need to do is I'm going to need to make a dedicated farm area other than this, because this is kind of where I need to grow my trees. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and then set that up real quick so that way we can then continue to mass produce a buttload of seeds. And it's going to be beautiful. I'll probably still do that in the cobble area, so it won't be terribly far away.
5 minutes later.
Alrighty, I've set up the little area. I've pretty much set it up on the exact opposite side of that one, so it's all really nice. I am sort of having problems with this side of things turning into stuff, so we're just going to have to nip that in the bud right now by converting all of this stuff into inferium farmland. And what inferium farmland does is it basically acts as permanently fertilized, and it will also increase the amount of things that I will actually be able to get from these things. I can do this with all the forms of essence, so it's just gonna be oh so nice. So now pretty much what I can do is I can just keep running around this thing, always have my ultimine on, and oh, that is not at all what I meant to do. But I think that ended up actually giving me more than I had. Nope, it didn't. I still had those ones there. Either way, though, now we can go ahead and just keep on right-clicking these things, and it is giving me more seeds now. I will be changing this out for various seeds that I may or may not need, but here we go. We got ourselves some stable inferium, so now we should have far more than enough in order to be able to start making ourselves the tier 1 seeds. Oh, but I am actually noticing something. It looks like a great majority of these, if not all of these, actually requires prudentium and or tertium. Why does it already start off so strong like that? So I guess then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start grinding up until I can get to a point where I have at least tier 3 essence. I doubt I'll be able to get to tier 4, but maybe I will. We'll see what happens. It is generating quite quickly, so once I get that, we'll then start the next thing. So I'll see you all then.
20 minutes later.
So, I may have just gone a tad bit overkill. So I said I wanted to go until I could get like tier 3. I went all the way down to Supremium. I kind of got into like a little bit of a trance there or something, but either way though, yeah, we can go ahead and start making up to that much now. So, I mean, hey, you know, it works. I guess then all we really need to do is to just start making up these tier 1 seeds. We're going to have redstone seed, which is going to be tertium, coal seed, which is going to be prudentium, iron, which is also tertium, tin, which is another tertium, copper, which is finally prudentium once more. I don't know why all these involve tertium. And then this one is going to involve something else. We can't actually do this one just yet. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, because in order to do this one, we need soulium, which is, you know, stuff that we can already get, but we would need to be able to get the soul of a skeleton, and I can't really do that. Actually, I might just be able to, if I have what I require. Is there a bone in here? There is no bone. That is unfortunate, because if there was a bone, I could then just start breaking down those things. And that's fine. I mean, this is the only one in this entire questline which requires to have mobs. So, I mean, realistically speaking, I really don't need to do this. At least not yet. So let's go ahead and then start making all these things up. So we'll start with the coal one, just because that's going to be the easiest for me to grab and explain everything. So let's grab 4 of those. And I need 1 more prudentium, so I can go ahead and sacrifice a tertium to make the 4 of these. How we get this thing to work is we're going to need to put the stuff right here. It doesn't need to be specifically in the order it showed, so that's very nice. It's not like normal crafting. And then in the center, we're going to need to put some very special seeds known as prosperity seeds. We're actually going to need to make quite a few of these. I'm going to use the remainder of my prosperity stuff to be able to make as many of these seeds as possible. So then we go ahead and put that there. And I think I also need a redstone signal of some kind. So I should have a button, a lever. I don't have any of these. All right, I got my lever, so we can go ahead and then flick that, and it's not working. Why does it not want to work? Very interesting. Oh, why didn't it show the particles? There's supposed to be particles that happen. It's like, it like starts sucking out all the essence from inside of it and then shoves it into here. But yeah, you get the basic idea. So now all that's left for me to do is just make the rest of these seeds right here, and then we can start doing the same farm as we have done over here, because this is quicker than botany pots.
2 very boring minutes later.
Alrighty, and here we go. I finally managed to gather up all of, well, most of the initial seeds, minus the skeleton seeds and all of that. And I actually went ahead and made the tier 2 seeds, since realistically speaking, all of those were there. And I actually found out why I wasn't actually able to see the particles when I was making these things, or when the twerk actually was supposed to be working, but I haven't been able to see it since day one. Turns out, I had particles turned off. So yeah, when I was trying to twerk for the tree in the first episode to see if it would work, and it didn't, I couldn't see it at all, and that was why. So I thought that it wasn't in this, when in fact it was. So that's the thing. But now with all of these together, we can go ahead and farm them up, and ooh, we even got ourselves some fertilizing essence. That's very, very nice. And oh my stars, we got 3 of the diamond essence. That's very cool. So, with these essences, we're eventually going to be able to use them to craft all of their things. So like, let's say we had the silver essence. Once we had 8 of it, we would then be able to make 4 silver ingots. That's pretty good. But these essence are going to have a much greater purpose for the start. And that's going to be for this thing right here, which is called the catalytic converter. So as some of you may have picked up on, the catalysts that I've been making have been referred to as mini catalysts. With this thing and these seeds, we're going to be able to make the normal ones. And with those, they'll make the medium capsules, which will then make straight ingots rather than the nuggets that we've been getting. And in the case of diamond, it will increase the amount of diamonds that we get. It's really cool. So then the last thing that I am going to want to do is going to actually make this catalytic converter, so that way we can then start making the next tiers of catalysts. We'll only be able to do the tier 2 one, since we only have enough for the tier 2 stuff, but that's gonna be fine. So in order to make this thing, we're going to need all of the initial catalysts, tier 1, 2, 3, and bio, the dimensional resource generator, the bio resource, tier 1 resource, tier 2 resource, and tier 3 resource generators in order to make this thing. The only real problem is going to be the tier 3, since that one's not EMCable. But I can live with that. I'll just take this one right here, since we already have a butt ton of these things as it is. It should be more than fine. Guess it's lucky for me that all but one of those things were EMCable. So now we can go ahead and combine all of those together and make the catalytic converter. I kept thinking like cataclysm for some reason, but there we go. Now we have this thing. So now whenever we have all the initial stuff, we should be able to make the next one. So let me go ahead and get enough of the seeds, so that way we can, well actually not the seeds, the essence, so that way we can go ahead and make ourselves our normal tier 2 cattle.
Much later.
Alrighty, I should have enough of the stuff to be able to make the thing, so now I just need to decide which of the tier 2 catalysts do I want to take. Silly question, we're taking the diamond obviously. One thing to note is that these things are not EMCable when they're leveled up, so we're just gonna be stuck with this thing. So we go ahead and grab our stacks of lead, silver, gold, diamond, lapis, nickel, and this new stuff called dielectric paste, which is from Powa. It's a very simple recipe, and it's also EMCable, so it's really not important. Go ahead and throw that into there, and now it all fuses, making newfound power. The tier 2 catalyst. Not the mini catalyst, mind you. Yes. So now if we throw this one into here, it does take the same amount of time, and then it will give us this new found capsule. So let's go ahead and grab these new normal capsules, and we are going to need to now replace this recipe. So can I just put these in there? I can just do that. And this will give us 3 diamonds per each. That is now way better. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, and also, behold, the new capsule. Now, I am curious. Am I getting the reward for that? Because I didn't see it. Okay, I do get a reward for that. I just don't get one for the tier 2 capsules. Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. Now, there is actually another one above this, which is the big one, and that will then start generating straight blocks. But in order for me to be able to get to that level of these things, I'm actually going to need to start making honeycombs of these things, which means I'll need to get into resourceful bees. But that's going to be a ways down the road before we ever get to that point. Probably not too terribly long, but it definitely won't be within, like, the next few episodes. So then let's go ahead, head up to our chapter rewards, and collect our rewards for the day. So we've gotten this, which means we can now get ourselves 4 more of these mini catalysts. And then right here, we can go ahead and get ourselves our EMC link. Do you like this video? Good. Then you're gonna want to see the last video where I ventured off into the nether and checked out all those things. Hope to see you all there. Bye-bye!